A Calgary man says he delivered a petition today with more than 70,000 signatures to the city's elections office to recall the mayor. He says they're unhappy with Mayor Jyoti Gondak's leadership and will keep pressing for her to leave office.
This is just the beginning. The fight has just started. We're going to push for her to resign still. The mayor should be afraid of the people. All elected officials should be afraid of us.
Now, today was the last day that they were allowed to get people to sign. Despite the 70,000 signatures, legislation requires some 400,000 more for them to reach the next step of verification. The City of Calgary has now 45 days to answer the petition. The results must be reported publicly at a City Council meeting. Let's bring in the creator of this petition, the man you just saw there, Landon Johnston. He is just outside the election office in Calgary, where he just handed in the petition. We see that you're in your car there, Landon. Thanks for joining us here on Canada Tonight. Now, the deadline was last hour. How does it feel to have submitted your petition now?
People are still knocking on my window to sign it, and I've had to tell them for the first time in 60 days that, sorry, I can't witness your signature right now. So that's kind of a surreal feeling that people are still showing up and knocking to sign this petition. So we you know what, we got 70,000 signatures. It wasn't enough to get her to officially resign, but we did a historic thing here. This was a historic petition because every one of these signatures was a tiny little story of someone finding us, coming out of their way, getting on the C train, walking down, driving, getting to our location to sign this. This wasn't an organized event. This was completely grassroots. This was just regular people not getting paid to do this, sitting out in the minus 20, minus 10 degrees for days, hours on end. 70,000 signatures is not enough to get her to resign, but it is a bunch of signatures. And that should make all elected officials afraid.
Yeah, it's certainly a number of signatures. 70,000 is not, any small number. But the population of Calgary is 1.3 million, and there are democratic elections held across this country in cities, big and small, like Calgary. And she was democratically elected. So why did you start this petition to have her recalled in the face of, an election where she was voted in by residents of the city of Calgary?
Well, the recall legislation or the recall act or the recall option is as old as democracy itself. So to say that this isn't also democratic is completely wrong. Since the beginning of democracy, there's always been the option to recall a elected official. So this is democratic. This is as pure as democratic as you can get. And my reasoning was that this mayor has made this position about herself. She's brought her own agenda. She's brought her own wants and needs into a position that she's supposed to meet the needs of many or meet the needs of all Calgarians, and she has failed at every step along the way, and she is the least favorable mayor in the history of Calgary, and she should step down. She is not wanted here by at least 70,000 people that, like I said, came out to sign this, and it's very hard to find a reason for her to stay in her position. It's very hard to find. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to find a reason for her to stay in her position, but I mean, she was elected. The majority of voters voted for her, not another candidate on the ballot, right? So
it was the least voter turnout in the history of Calgary. So you know what, that's a big that's a big hurdle right there. People should come out and vote, and that's how you're left with elected officials, because people don't get out and vote. So yeah, I mean, I can understand why people would see that this is going against democracy, but it's not. This is democracy. So we could wait another 2 years to vote her out, or we could take the legislation given to us and at least flex those rights of ours.
Right. And
we did that. We followed every single guideline. We followed every single rule given to us. Now, here you got to understand, people knew this was going to not be successful. But to get 500,000 plus signatures is impossible in boundaries given to us.
Right. So you've got 70,000 here. That does not meet the bar. What are you hoping to achieve now that you've submitted this? What do you think is going to happen here with this 70,000, and you're about 400,000 or so shy of where you need to be?
Well, that's up to the mayor. She could see the writing on the wall and just make it easier for everybody and resign. But I mean, if she's not going to do that, then we're just going to continue pressing for transparency and accountability through our council. And just looking at the state of affairs in Calgary, unlike the mayor, I've been up and down every single back alley, every single street, every single neighborhood, talking to people on the ground, and people are running out of money. People are running out of patience. We are being used as pawns. We have been used as just a piggy bank for these politicians to line their own pockets. They do not care about the people.
I mean, why do you? I want to ask you about what the mayor told us here on Canada Tonight. But why do you think she's lining her pockets? There's no evidence of that.
Well, yeah, exactly. Okay, well, you just brought up a very good point. It's very hard to get transparency through the regulations, through the Privacy Act. So for us to find out, a lot of accusations flying around, but for us to investigate that, as a journalist, you would know this better than anybody. But when you receive an email or an investigative report and it's 90% redacted, of course they can say they're not doing anything wrong because we can't verify that, right? So when I'm saying they're lining their own pockets, is we've got a councillor in town here whose upzoning has potentially made him a lot of money. So,
Landon, I got to run here, but I want to play you a clip from the mayor.
Okay.
The mayor talked to us last month about the harassment that she receives in office on a daily basis. Listen to that clip.
For anyone that doesn't know, a local business person has posted online that climate activists have gotten into my underwear. We've had other people talk about the fact that the only reason I got elected is because I'm brown and this whole city is run by brown people. I've had, other people, comment on why immigrants are allowed into this country at all. Most recently I have, hey, Gondek, the recall may not work, but we have other ways to get you out.
What do you make of that? And do you think that the mayor has faced discrimination? Clearly, she has faced death threats. She's been very public about that. She told me that she fears for her safety. And do you think that is an appropriate climate? And do you think discrimination is factoring into this movement to get her out of office?
Yeah, nobody should face that type of ridicule. No one should face that type of personal attacks. That is completely wrong. I would never wish that upon anybody. This has always just been about policy. It's never been about race or gender or anything like that. At least in my petition, It's always just been about policy. But as for that, yeah, I feel for her. I mean, that is completely wrong. We've got way more, as adults, we have way more resources to deal with politicians. And like I said, I've been running through the legislation. This is what's given to us to use. But throwing personal attacks and slurs has never gotten anybody anywhere. So that should stop. We're all adults here. It's just been about policy and following the rules. So I feel for the mayor. I've been spat on 4 times. I was almost stabbed downtown. The amount of slurs that I received from filing this. But, that's partially playing the victim card. But I mean, it's no one deserves that. No politician, no citizen deserves that type of ridicule just for having a different opinion. Yeah. But my issue with her has been the policy, not her personal issues and or personal whatever. So
you certainly have made your position clear on this, and we appreciate you coming on with your perspective tonight. That is Landon Johnston, who initiated the recall petition against Mayor Gondek, joining us from Calgary.